Coming up, President Biden attends a memorial for the late Vice President Walter Mondale. An upstate New York teacher is on leave after a controversial assignment regarding slavery. And Nike releases a shoe honoring Gianna Bryant. All this and more as PS News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for joining us on this busy Monday night. I'm Benny Nazai.
And I'm Jason Lynch. Let's take a look at some news from around the nation.
First Lady Jill Biden is traveling to Romania and Slovakia this week to show support for displaced Ukrainian families. While overseas, she is set to meet with members of the U.S. military and top-level government officials. She leaves on Thursday. Romania is her first stop where there's been a large influx of refugees fleeing Russia's violent war on Ukraine. She's meeting with humanitarian aid and workers and members of the Romanian government. And with educators helping teach displaced Ukrainian children. In Slovakia, Mrs. Biden will visit refugees being housed by locals. This is the second solo trip abroad for the First Lady. She visited Japan last July for the Summer Olympics.
President Joe Biden traveled to Minneapolis Sunday to say farewell to one of his oldest friends. Biden wanted to personally pay tribute to former Vice President Walter Fritz Mondale, a friend of his for decades. Mondale passed away in April of 2021, but memorial services were postponed for 1 year due to the pandemic. Biden spoke about how Mondale and his wife Joan were always at his side in his time of need. The president said that was especially true after his first wife and his daughter were killed in a car crash. Mondale had a distinguished record of public service, having served as Vice President, U.S. Senator, and Minnesota Attorney General. Biden called Mondale one of the, quote, greatest giants of U.S. history.
To the economy now. The U.S. job market is close to hitting a major milestone in the COVID-19 economic recovery. According to Fitch Ratings, the labor force has nearly regained all the positions lost during the pandemic. The U.S. economy gained 431,000 jobs in March, and the report due out Friday is expected to show nearly the same amount were recovered last month. Fitch reports 13 states, including Arizona, Florida, and Georgia, have already filled the employment opportunities lost since the start of COVID. Still, there is one major issue. Economists still say the job market is still down due to a loss of positions that would have developed had the pandemic not shut down development.
The House Select Committee probing the January 6th siege on the U.S. Capitol is given permission to get email marketing data from Republican National Committee. That decision came Sunday night by Judge Timothy Kelly of the D.C. District Court, and it's a victory for investigators collecting details linked to the movement that tried to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Kelly, who was appointed to the court by President Donald Trump, rejected the RNC's claims that the House doesn't have proper authorization for that information. The email data will be blocked for at least a few days so that the RNC has the ability to appeal. On a related note, Trump's former lawyer Rudy Giuliani is scheduled to stand before the committee later this month.
Back to the war in Ukraine. Relentless Russian shelling has ramped up along the Ukrainian border, and the calm around the Ukrainian capital has been shattered by new missile strikes. This as the White House is now bracing for a potential showdown between President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin at this year's G20 summit in Indonesia. Steve Nannis has the latest.
A team of CNN journalists diving for cover in Ukraine as explosives strike dangerously close and bullets whiz over their heads.
Afraid?
After a few relatively quiet weeks in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, missile strikes have now turned residential buildings to ruins.
This wall saved my life, she says, otherwise it would have been the end.
Halfway across the globe, the atrocities being unleashed by Russian President Vladimir Putin's forces in Ukraine having an emotional effect on the Pentagon spokesman.
It's difficult to look at the It's difficult to look at some of the images and imagine that any well-thinking, serious, mature leader would do that. So I can't talk to his psychology, but I think we can all speak to his depravity.
Now, with the G20 summit on the horizon, the White House is conveying to the host country, Indonesia, that Russia shouldn't be allowed to participate.
It's inappropriate, I think, for the entire international community to keep treating Russia as if things are normal, because it's not.
There's a lot that could happen between now and then, but we certainly haven't seen an indication to date of Russia's plan to participate in diplomatic talks constructively.
I'm Steve Nannis reporting.
Thank you, Steve. Coming up, a look at the weather near you. Stay with us, folks.
What am I looking at here? It's a spaceship. From where? From space? All right, people, let's hit these guys with some PSTV. Did not work. Probably because it's a TV station and not a laser.
Welcome back. I'm your meteorologist, Jason Lynch. Let's take a look at the weather near you. On Tuesday, we got cloudy skies in the mid-60s, and then we go to Wednesday and it starts to rain a little as the temperature drops down to the mid-50s. Then we go to Thursday, partly cloudy skies as the rain goes away in the low 60s. Then we move on to Friday with partly cloudy skies in the high 50s, and Saturday, same thing, partly cloudy skies but in the low 60s. That's all for the weather outlook. When we come back, a look at the news near you.
Botany Club is a group of students who enjoy learning about and experiencing the natural world, especially plants, through various activities, trips, and service projects. If you're interested in joining Botany Club, please join us at Hudson Hall on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And for more information, reach out to us on Instagram at Botanical Society SUNY Platts. Hope to see you there.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at some news closer to home. A Rochester City school teacher is on leave tonight over a controversial lesson on slavery. The teacher allegedly had students pick seeds out of cotton and asked students to put on handcuffs. The School of the Arts principal says this is a cause for concern and the district is investigating.
This is one of the cotton balls given to student Janasia Brown. She shared with her mother that this was a part of a lesson on slavery in her social studies class.
I am angry, I am upset, I am appalled, I am behooved that my child was forced to pick seeds out of cotton. It is very unacceptable.
At first, Morris couldn't believe her daughter was forced to do that, so she took her anger to Facebook. Her post prompted more parents to speak up.
But when I saw another parent post about it and share her story, I believed it then, and then I approached my son and asked him to, just share a little bit more about what happened, as well as any other incidents.
Students say this isn't the first time the same teacher has taught lessons about slavery that made students uncomfortable.
I walked in class and I sat down. He pulled out handcuffs. It was like, who's willing to put these on? They were all shocked. She said she did not want to put on the handcuffs. And he told her if she do not put them on and try them on, that he was going to send her to the counselor or the principal's office.
The principal of the school sent a letter to parents on Thursday saying the lesson was of great concern and that the allegations are being taken seriously. Some parents are calling on the district to fire the teacher.
So he needs to be terminated. He should not be getting this little break at our expense. And we also hope that his teaching license can be revoked permanently.
After 2 years of COVID-19 disruptions, Met Gala is back. The event, seen as fashion's biggest night, returns to the usual spot on the first Monday of May. New York City Metropolitan Museum of Art hosts the gala. It happens alongside the In American and Anthropology of Fashion exhibition. People attending Monday night are asked to dress in a style that references the Gilded Age at the end of the 19th century. The Met Gala made its debut in 1948, highlighted by a A-list celebrities and designers that often over the top they interpret each other's fashion theme.
The term of the Manhattan grand jury investigating former President Donald Trump expired Friday without filing charges against him. In November, then District Attorney Cyrus Vance convened a special grand jury to examine evidence of potential crimes by the former presidents. Vance had already charged the Trump Organization and former Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg with running a tax evasion scheme. A spokesperson for the current Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, says there is, quote, no magic to the grand jury's term expiring Friday. That's because Bragg's office argues New York has grand juries sitting all the time and that the Trump probe is not finished. Trump's former fixer Michael Cohen is calling Bragg's failure to indict Trump so far is, quote, an error that will tarnish his time in office. Now coming up, a look at some sports highlights. Stay with us.
Welcome back. I'm that sports guy, Jason Lynch.
Is Tau Kappa Epsilon. It's a national fraternity. It's one of the biggest in the nation right now. We're about 37 guys. We do our best to serve the community that we are part of, and we really like to give back. In my opinion, what makes TEAC stand out is just the amount of leadership skills that you will develop as a TEAC. As time progresses, as you go through the rush process, you realize just like how genuine the people are in this organization.
Better men for a better world. Rush TEAC.
Welcome back. I'm that sports guy, Jason Lynch. Let's take a look at some sports news near you. U.S. soccer star Hope Solo has a new goal conquering alcoholism. The 40-year-old announced on social media Friday that she is voluntarily entering rehab. Solo, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, was arrested in March for allegedly driving while impaired. Her two children were in the vehicle at the time. In the post, Solo said she is focused on, quote, health, healing, and taking care of my family. Solo was set to be inducted into the National Soccer Hall of Fame later this month. She asked the organization to postpone that until next year. Nike releases a pair of special shoes in honor of Gianna Gigi Bryant on what would have been her 16th birthday. She and her father, legendary basketball star Kobe Bryant, were killed in a 2020 helicopter crash along with 7 others. The Mambacha Sweet 16 shoes have a black snake skin pattern. Profits from the sales are marked for the Mamba and Mambisika Sports Foundation. That's a nonprofit that honors the legacies of Gigi and Kobe by supporting underserved athletes. According to the foundation, these shoes sold out within 2 minutes. Gianna Bryant had dreamed of becoming a WNBA player. Baseball legend Jackie Robinson's All-Star Game bat sold for $1 million in an auction Saturday. Golden Auctions announced the sale of the 1949 bat, which came directly from Rachel Robinson, Jackie's widow. While it is rare for a baseball bat to fetch more than $1 million, the sale was not an all-time record. That belongs to the bat Babe Ruth used to hit his first home run for the Yankees, which sold for $1.2 million. The single most expensive piece of Jackie Robinson memorable is a game-worn Brooklyn Dodgers jersey. His famous number 42 jersey sold for more than $4.2 million last year.
You know, Jason, you really know how to cover all angles so well. Weather, sports, and filling in for Mike, you really know how to do it all.
Thank you, Benny. You're great as well.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight. To stay up to date with PS News and all of Plattsburgh State TV, be sure to follow at Plattsburgh State TV on all of our social media platforms.
Thank you for joining us, and have a good night, Plattsburgh.
Interview with Pat Tabler, he was talking about Stripling, who's been remarkable. He reworked his